Hi, I'm Joe Sorge, and welcome to the Family Law Report, where we examine the problems and challenges facing our family law system. This is part 2 in our series on judicial bias. Are modern-day judges impartial and fair, or are they influenced by personal agenda, politics, and money? We are fortunate to have New York City attorney and author Susan Settenbrino to give us an inside look at what happens to attorneys who challenge judges in their courtrooms. So Susan, I know that you've used this procedure that you call recusal to cause a biased judge to withdraw from a case and turn the case over to a new judge. But I've heard that it's extremely rare for a judge to recuse him or herself, especially when a litigant has no lawyer. Is that true?
Absolutely, and it's rare even when an attorney does it.
Can an attorney get themselves into hot water with the court by essentially accusing the judge of bias and asking the judge to step down?
I believe that if an attorney stands up and addresses integrity matters in the court, which is very difficult for an attorney, and an attorney should be supported in this, what will happen is I believe that the judges recognize who these attorneys are, and that they will be treated in a certain way, and they will feel the effect of what it is to stand up and fight for their client.
So essentially, an attorney could be blacklisted if they don't look the other way when they see a judge being biased.
Absolutely.
Do they come right out and say that you are about to be blacklisted?
This is what took me 20 years to know. I didn't know that there was a system behind the scene, that they don't have to do anything according to the law. They can utilize the state offices behind the scenes to target you, and they can destroy you through litigation and false investigations, and they could encumber you and financially drain you. Some judges may retaliate in a courthouse. They can make a false record. I walked into a courthouse. I had been representing these people for 3 years. When I became that blacklisted attorney, that attorney that the judges were concerned about, because I had successfully addressed integrity issues and recused judges successfully, I walked into this court. There was a new judge on the bench, and though I had represented these people for 3 years, this judge on the bench started to speak to me in a way that was obviously false. He would say to me, Miss Settenbrino, don't throw those papers at me. And I'd say, Your Honor, because he knew there was a record being made. And he would say these false statements. I would say, why would you say that when I'm not doing that? He would say, don't come to the bench. Don't approach my bench. I said, why would you say that? I would confront him right away, and he didn't know what to say to me. But it was clear now in this case that I was a targeted attorney, that this judge was making a false record. My client was blown away when she saw what was happening. So what happened in that case? I said, you have 2 children at stake. This judge is not acting correctly. This judge is abusing his power. And obviously he's targeting me for his own reasons. I need to get out of this case because I believe it will jeopardize your case. And what happened was she had gotten another attorney who I knew, who actually had helped the judge get elected. And so the case settled very well for my former client. And my client appreciates my honesty and knows that I did everything I could. And to this day, both my client and her mother thanked me for saving their grandchildren's life, because I knew it wasn't about me staying in the case. It was about making sure that they weren't punished for my targeting.
Judges seem to be reluctant to allow cameras in the courtroom. Wouldn't that prevent judges from manipulating the record?
If we're entitled to a public trial and access to a public courthouse, then we're entitled. Why aren't we entitled to have cameras in the courtroom? Our courtrooms are supposed to be public. It's an incredible story. I was kept from a public courtroom, okay? A public courtroom. That is sanctionable. This judge abused her power to keep me from a public courtroom, and she was protected instead of addressed, instead of sanctioned for what she did. That is my constitutional right to be in a public courtroom.
Do you find that other attorneys generally are reluctant to challenge judges in the way that you do?
Attorneys have come up to me and they say, "You're amazing. I applaud you. I can never do that. I'm afraid. I won't go to this county without a connected co-counsel. They know what's going on. A lot of attorneys, many attorneys know what's going on. They're dying for somebody to come and change the system, but they know the consequences. And I didn't know the consequences. It took me 20 years to know that they can use state-funded and empowered office to target people fraudulently, and they can use those same offices to protect misconduct and protect what I believe to be even criminal behavior.
Now that you know the consequences, are you going to start playing their game?
You know what? I can't be afraid. I made the decision because if I live my life out of fear, I can't do anything that, I'm only here for a limited amount of time in my life, 70 years, 80 years if I'm lucky. I got to live a life where I feel I've done the best I could. And if I could get disbarred because they have the power to do that, I can't be afraid of that. I just can't. I will not make decisions out of fear. I promised myself that. It's natural to have the fear, but I promise I will never make decisions out of fear. I can't do it.
Well, Susan, you're very brave. I'm glad that we have people like you around. Thank you. If you found that interesting, then you should take a look at part 3 in this series, where Susan discusses her new book, Unchecked Power, which blows the whistle on judicial bias and corruption. I'm Joe Sorge, and this is the Family Law Report. Thank you.